I teach English here at Lincoln High School.
Okay.
I've taught a variety of subjects and a variety of grade levels within that coursework.
Okay. And how long have you been teaching?
10 years.
10 years. And has it all been here?
Yes.
Or? Okay. So it's all been here. Can you run through is it just English that you taught here, or?
I have taught so many different things. I have taught every grade level. I've taught every ability level, from standardized test remediation all the way up to the college credit and the advanced placement. I've done electives on Shakespeare, creative writing, mythology, newspaper, and I've even taught theater technology over in the auditorium. So I feel very diverse in such a short amount of time, but I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, good deal. Okay, so let's start at the beginning, I guess, of when was it that you decided that you wanted to teach?
It was around my junior year of high school when I really started thinking seriously about teaching, as most people do at that age when they start thinking about, what am I going to do with my life? As much as I begged my parents, they would not pay for a theater degree because it was either like do theater or teach. My mom wanted me to be a lawyer because I could argue all the time. But when I really sat and thought seriously about it, I found that I was happiest when I was helping people. And even if it was just my friends, if I was helping them review for a test or proofreading their papers for them, or as a member of the color guard, teaching somebody routine for the school song or the marching show or something like that, I found great joy in doing that.
And I guess, do you have any teachers growing up or even now that you have met that you look at and think, that's what I want to do. That's who I want to be.
I worked with them, and I still work with some of them because I graduated from here in 2001, and then in January of 2006, I came back here, and I was in the English department with all of the English teachers that I admired and was inspired by, and I even came in as a sub for a woman that I really liked and admired. Her name was Kay Henderson, and I took I think 3 of her classes. Specifically, I took her speech class. Even though I wasn't required to, I took her speech class because I liked her so much. And then to come back and teach her courses and take over for her just was surreal, but it was also such an honor as well.
Very cool. What does it mean to you to have gone to school here and to be teaching here?
I feel like I'm helping to carry on a really great tradition. We have a lot of teachers here at Lincoln High School who are also alumni, and I think that's part of what makes Lincoln so special is that many of the teachers here know what it means to be an Alice and to carry on that tradition, and it feels really good.
Were you familiar with the Golden Apples before this?
I was familiar, yeah.
What do you think of when you think of that?
The Golden Apple is one of those awards that you may not know anything about teaching, but you know the reputation that the Golden Apple carries. And when my friends even found out that I was just nominated, they were like, "What? That's amazing!" Like they knew what that means, and especially since it's been around for so long, and I've known teachers in the Vincennes area who have won them, and so I know that reputation.
Yeah. Who are the ones that you know?
Well, Amber Soderling,
Yeah.
she and her son nominated me, and so that means the world for someone to have won it, to also think that I'm worthy. Like, that's just pretty awesome. Valerie Kelly and Jennifer Vickers, Travis Connor are all just fantastic people, fantastic teachers. And then the first person from Vincennes to win it was Patty Bell from Vigo Elementary. And my mom was a school nurse at Vigo Elementary at the time, and my mom just raved about Patty Bell, and everybody raves about Patty Bell. She really is a fantastic woman, and she's done some amazing writing as well. And to feel, or to be told that I'm of that same caliber is quite an honor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, how does it make you feel? Like, has it sunk in yet that your name is going to be on that list with them? It's
sinking in, and the other crazy thing as well is that, like, I've only been at this for 10 years. I've still got miles to go before I sleep. There's a lot more to do. So the goal is now not to peak.
So when someone walks into your classroom, what are they going to see? Somebody who's never been here before, what are they going to see when they walk into your room?
It may look like organized chaos. Especially in my literature classes, for my college credit classes, I want them to find a way to talk about literature so that it's not just me telling the kids, this is what it's about. I want them to find that on their own and find a way to articulate their ideas. So you may see kids talking one-on-one, you may see small groups, you may see complete and utter silence and everybody on their computer because they're all actually on a chat room. You know, because I have some kids who will never raise their hand, they won't talk in class, but then you put them on a computer and they will just be the most verbose little things you've ever seen. So I like trying to find those different niches for kids to express themselves, and that's really what you would see.
Very cool. Just making sure. I always like to glance in there, make sure it's not like doing something squirrely that I don't know about. Talk a little bit about this. This is kind of a rough time to be a teacher. I mean, with everything that's going on. And talk a little bit about what do you think are some of the strengths of being a teacher and some of the weaknesses, I guess the challenges.
Oh man. Probably one of the best reasons to be a teacher is to know that you are making a difference. There's a lot of days where it doesn't feel like it. Whether it was just a bad day, a bad lesson, or even you open up the newspaper and you see what new legislation there is, or critics against, those teachers against the summers off, and there are days it doesn't feel like that, but then it's then when I have to step back and I look at the big picture, and after 10 years I see what successes some of my former students have, then I know I helped in some way, in some small way, I helped, and that is what keeps me going. Teachers are not martyrs. We're not here to suffer, and yes, it is a calling, that's for sure, but that doesn't mean that we aren't professionals that should be treated as professionals in both pay and respect, and I lost my last word, but
That's all right.
but I mean that I work with kids, and there's others who work with those that are much younger and others that work with much older, but it's all valued professional work. It's not glorified babysitting, and we are professionals who care deeply not only about our students, but also our craft and our content and our subject matter, and that deserves to be recognized on all levels.
Sure. Now, why have you ever thought about teaching anything besides high school?
College would be the only one. I got my master's degree in English so that I had that flexibility that I could teach dual credit at the high school level, which I could see at the time that I started my degree at Indiana State. I could see that there would eventually be a need for more college credit. But then that also gave me the flexibility as well that if I wanted to leave, that I could possibly go into a collegiate setting. High school is where I feel the most of use. I do. I remember one time a middle school administrator sat me down and talked to me about a lesson that he saw me do, and he told me, you're a good teacher, but you're a good high school teacher. And I go, yeah. It was probably the best constructive criticism that I ever got. I won't deny it whatsoever, because I just feel that this is a good fit for me, and I feel most of use for high school kids.
Sure. Talk about not necessarily just the school, but talk about the staff, the students. For somebody who's never stepped foot in the school, tell them a little bit about it.
Here at Lincoln High School, the one thing that I see both as the advisor for the OPS, not just as the advisor of the Old Post Sentinel, but also just as a teacher. One of the things we always ask kids that are doing their senior profiles, we write feature pieces about seniors, and we ask them, what's your favorite thing here at Lincoln High School? And the two most common responses we see from seniors is there's so many ways to be involved, and the teachers really care about you. That's the number one thing that I hear, is that here at Lincoln High School, you've got at least one teacher who is going to just be on you like white on rice, to make sure that you're doing what you're doing and that you're getting what you need. Because here at Lincoln, everybody matters. Being a slightly rural school, we've seen enrollment drop, even just since I graduated in 2001. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. People try to say like, oh, enrollment's down at Lincoln, but that doesn't mean that the atmosphere has changed, because even when I was a student here, there were teachers who cared about me. There were teachers who pushed me to say, Haley, I think you should do this, and I think this would be a good fit for you, and hey, how are you doing? And I still remember when Andrea Cascas stopped me in the hallway, and she's like, you need to walk with your head up. You are a smart, pretty young girl. You need to walk with your head up. And I was just like, and my whole day was changed, and my whole atmosphere was changed, the fact that somebody stopped and said that. And now I get to pay it forward. Someone did that for me, and so now as a teacher with the rest of this great faculty, we strive very hard to make sure that every kid is recognized and gets what they need.
Good. Do you have any stories or anything that comes to mind when of students, former students, anybody that you really go home that day and say, that's why I'm doing this?
Oh man. Let's see here. I remember there was a young man in one of my speech classes who wasn't doing so hot for the semester, and we were coming up on the big final exam, which was actually a demonstration speech. And he was kind of pushing my buttons when I was telling kids, like, I'm very flexible on what you can do for your speech, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what if I cleaned a rabbit? And I'm like, what if you did? And he thought that I was joking. I'm like, no, seriously, go ask the administrators if they're okay with you doing this, but I'm fine. And so that kid skipped the first 2 periods of the day, went and killed a rabbit, brought it in, and an administrator was there to make sure that nothing crazy went on, but he gave a fantastic speech on how to clean and dress a rabbit here in this room. And he surprised himself, I think, with how he was capable of doing the work. And even his classmates were like, dude, that was really good. And he ended up having to take the class again. But that wasn't the point. And even that he finally got it, that he was capable of doing it. So then the next time that he took the class, none of it was an issue. That he was able to do the speeches, he knew that he was capable of doing it, and he did it. And then his second demonstration speech, he cleaned a chicken. But you know what? If that's your skill set, I will not begrudge you, because when the zombie apocalypse comes, he's going to outlive us all. And that was when, like, I knew that it was possible, but then right there was a perfect example to me that if we just give kids the opportunity to show us what they're capable of doing, they will surprise you. Because it's so easy for teachers to say, no, I want you to do it this way. When really we need to open up and listen to the kids and let them show us what they're capable of, even if it means that a bunny is going to be cleaned in your room that day.
Oh, that's good.
My first year teaching theater technology, I even felt very out of my element. I have a theater minor, and I was really intimidated, and there was a bunch of senior boys who, bless them, I know they signed up for the class because they were like, easy A. And so times were very, very frustrating. And after we did our first show, which was actually a show that I directed, I had some of these boys as stagehands actually do little bits in between the scene changes, and they got so into it. And these are like the jock boys, the popular athletic guys. You'd never catch them in a play on a normal day. And after it was over, I still remember one of the boys was like, I can't believe you made an actor out of me. I was like, well, nobody knows because you were wearing a mask the whole time. But he didn't care. He still was just like, I can't believe I did that. and I was very proud to be part of that, to show him, like, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Very cool. Besides just this classroom, I know you do a lot of other things. You mentioned the paper. Talk a little bit about what all you're involved in when it comes to those things outside of the classroom, I guess.
In 10 years, I've been involved in a lot of things here at Lincoln, and I think that's part of being a high school teacher, that I really do think that in a high school, being part of extracurriculars is really part of the culture. And actually, some of my best and some of my favorite involvements with kids and really getting to know them as people have been through extracurriculars. So currently I advise the newspaper, which is a class, and we do some stuff outside of school. But I also sponsor the Gay Straight Alliance. We've been around for 4 years now, and the membership has grown over time, and it's just a nice way for kids to just have a new type of social scene, where really a lot of what we do is family game nights and board nights and getting together at a local coffee place, and for the kids to meet and network and just have a new friendly face in the building. I've been involved with theater for the last few years, both as a director and also in the technical background as well.
Very cool. Talk a little bit about the paper, because I know that when we came in to interrupt, that's what you guys were in the middle of. Talk a little bit about what it means to you to be involved in that.
The Old Post Sentinel is definitely another way in which I feel like I'm coming full circle, because I wrote for the Old Post Sentinel when I was a student. I was an opinions columnist, and it was a great source of pride that I would write something for the paper, and then it would run on Fridays, and then on Sunday at church, people would stop me and go, oh, I read that. Oh, I agree with you. Oh, I don't agree with you, and here's why. And people talked to me like I was a person. They didn't talk to me like I was a kid, and people took me seriously and took what I had to say seriously, and so that meant a lot. And I say that the Old Post Sentinel started a lot for me, because then having that experience in writing for the opinions page for the Old Post Sentinel then got me into doing theater reviews at Indiana State and writing reviews for the Indiana Statesman and for the Terre Haute Tribune-Star. And then when I came back to Vincennes and I really needed some money, I approached the Sun Commercial and said, hey, do you need a copywriter? Here's some of my stuff. And they're like, you can actually write. Why don't you actually write for us? I'm like, oh, okay. So then I got into writing for the Sun Commercial. And then that led me, after my experience with the Sun Commercial, then that led to me eventually sponsoring the Old Post Sentinel. I'm like, well, here I am back again. Yeah. And again, you know, through the Old Post Sentinel, it's another way that kids can have ownership. That this is your paper, these are your words, this is your school. What do you want people to know? You know, and even when I get total newbies in here, even after I explain to them, you know, this is a weekly paper. It goes out in the city. People are going to read this. After that first article, they come back and they go, people read that. And it just shocks them, because they're so used to, you write a paper, you turn it into your teacher. But to have this experience, this very much a professional experience that they would not have otherwise unless they were here at Lincoln High School. It's astounding. You know, these kids are building resumes. They're building portfolios to lead to scholarship applications, or even to go on to continue in journalism. I've got a student right now at Butler Sports Journalism program, and he found out that the Old Post Sentinel published more in print than Butler did, because everything's moving online, obviously, but that was amazing to me, and I was very proud of the Old Post Sentinel for being able to offer that.
That's very cool. I guess years from now, when you've peaked,
yeah, gosh,
and you're gone from this classroom, what do you want your students that you have now to remember about you? What do you want them to remember about your classroom?
I just hope I was helpful. That's always what it goes back to. Like, I hope I was helpful. I hope that I was of use, you know. That's the number one compliment that a kid can ever give me, is that they come back and tell me, like, oh, this helped me so much in this class, or to get this job, or to go on and do whatever, that means the world to me, because that tells me that I did something right. That's what I really hope.
Good. I think that's it. I have one more question. This won't be in the actual piece. This will be for the program. And we did this last year, and it was actually kind of funny, and I think everybody liked it. You kind of already gave me something.
Oh.
Talking about the kid cleaning the rug in class. But I'm asking for funny things that have happened in your class, something that you can remember. If that one is it, that's pretty good. But I just thought I'd ask and throw that out there. If you can think of a funny instance, or something that teachers would obviously find funny, because I actually talked to a chemistry teacher, and she told me that she decided she was going to teach the kids how fireworks worked, and one of the kids lit her classroom on fire.
Oh, no.
So anything you have like that would be good.
I was always astounded when I taught speech, how just the framework of covering so many different subjects would lead to these strange conversations, because I would let kids pick their own topics, and then that would lead to questions and discussions and back and forth and let's explain. And at the time that Gardasil came out, oh God, this is so funny. At the time that Gardasil came out, this was a big controversial thing, and a girl wanted to give her persuasive speech about why women should get the Gardasil shot. Solid persuasive speech topic. So we're just having a work day where the kids are researching, and this girl is spitballing ideas with her friends. And at the time, the Gardasil vaccine was recommended just for women. And this boy goes, so boys shouldn't get it. And the girl goes, well, no, right now it's just for girls, because it's supposed to help prevent forms of HPV that cause cervical cancer. And he goes, so I can't get cervical cancer. And everybody stops, because they think that he's joking, and this kid is dead serious. And I was like, okay, and I have to start drawing diagrams on I can't let you leave my room not knowing this junior in high school. And I was just astounded. My mom is a school nurse, and she would have these talks with kids in 5th grade. And when I went home and I called and told my mom that, she's like, oh, well, she's like, you handled it well.
That's good. That's funny.
But it's one of those things, you never know what you're going to have to teach. And another time, one of the first times I taught a remediation class, for this 1 year they expected us to do all remediation. And I am the worst math student in the history of the world. And I had to teach math to these kids 2 days a week. And my mom and dad just thought that was hilarious, because I cannot tell you how many times they had to deal with me in tears doing my math homework as a little kid, and now here I am as a teacher. So you learn to think on your feet as a teacher, that's for sure. I hope you have good improv skills if you are ever thinking about being a teacher, because you got to think on your feet.
Well, that's I'll make that the last question, actually. What advice would you give somebody who's maybe going to watch these and thinks, I want to be a teacher? What advice would you give someone?
Wear comfortable shoes. I'm serious. The days are too long to wear high heels and ridiculous footwear. Just wear comfortable shoes. But for real, just accept the fact that there are days where all your plans are going to blow out the window. And learning how to do improvisational comedy in college probably helped me more than some of my teacher prep classes, because I learned just how to just roll with it. When the insane happens, when a lesson tanks, that I can go, okay, moving on, let's try something else. And that skill of adaptability, it may take time to hone, but if you have the outlet to figure it out, do it, definitely.
Perfect. Is there anything you'd like to add that I didn't ask you? I asked you a lot. Is there anything that you'd like to mention?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm probably at midnight tonight, I'm going to be like, oh no, I didn't say this. The one thing I think that we should not be afraid of doing for our students is pushing them more. because with these school letter grades and rigor and high standards, it's so, you know, with the competition aspect of it, it's so easy to fall in the trap to make the work easy so that you get the accolades that you're supposed to. You know, I see kids that come into my room and they got to get an A, they got to get an A, they got to get an A, and I don't care if you get an A. I'd rather you get a B and really learn something and struggle than and figure out why you're struggling than just walk in and everything be a breeze and get an A. And I think sometimes teachers, especially new teachers, are afraid of that, you know, it's okay for people to struggle because that's how you learn. You know, I was not a great student. And that always just surprises my students when I tell them that. I was not a great student. Some of that was my own fault, you know. But when I hit my niche in my junior year of high school, and it was teachers who pushed me and said, you know, you can do this. You can really do this. You know, I think you can handle this. And if handling it is getting a B in advanced placement British literature, okay, you know, because I really learned something. And I learned so many skills and tricks and what I could do that when I went on to get my English degree and then later my master's degree in English, I nailed it because I built and I got better and I learned what it meant to be a good learner, not necessarily a good student. And I think that's important for us to remember.
Good.